He is the man behind the pinstripedbible.com, and now he's the man behind the curtain. And we pull the curtain back and check in at our .com desk. Steve, what are you looking at right now on the internet? What's taking place?
Well, in anticipation of our little get-together here today, we asked our readers what they thought the big story of the off-season was. And surprisingly, they opted not to go with the pursuit of CC Sabathia, but the sort of concurrent lack of interest in Mark Teixeira. I think what they're thinking about is that as shaky as the pitching rotation has been, that the offense and the defense need shoring up as well.
And what else are you going to keep an eye on? You're going to join us later. What else are you going to take a look at as the course of the show goes on?
Well, the readers are free to check into pinstripedbible.com, and we'll be monitoring their comments as we go through the show and reacting to them later.
Right. Well, we just got done talking about the Hall of Fame nominees. What are your readers talking about, Steve?
Well, before we get to them, one guy we've really got to talk about who didn't come up before is Tim Raines. If Rickey Henderson was the #1 leadoff man of all time, Raines was 1A. There really wasn't that much separation between the two of them. You're talking about a guy with a .294 career average, a .385 on-base percentage, nearly 1,600 runs scored. And if you ask Raines about the comparisons between himself and Rickey, he has a great line. He says that Rickey stole more, but I stole better. And what he's talking about is the fact that he could steal 70 bases a year and not be caught even 10 times. So, you know, it's interesting that he's not getting quite as much interest this time around.
Tim Raines had one of the great comebacks of all time. In 1987, he wasn't able to sign with the Expos until May 1st because of the free agency rules. And he signed May 1st, had no spring training. On May 2nd, playing against the Mets, he had 4 hits, including a grand slam home run that won the game, a triple and 2 singles. The next day, May 3rd, he hit a home run that won the game for the Expos, and no one has ever done anything like it.
He's had some remarkable numbers. Now, Steven, I know you crunch a lot of numbers, also a contributing editor at Baseball Prospectus. Just real quickly, anybody else on that list that kind of jumped out at you as somebody you think might make the Hall this year?
Well, I don't think he'll make it, but one guy who I think should get more serious consideration and doesn't because of the guys who came after him was Alan Trammell, who was almost the Derek Jeter-style player of his day for the Tigers, was a 6-time All-Star, a multiple Gold Glove winner, MVP of the 1984 World Series, probably should have won the MVP award for the whole American League in 1987. But because his career overlapped with Cal Ripken's, and then since then we've had A-Rod and we've had Jeter and Nomar Garciaparra and those guys, shortstop kind of got redefined away from the kind of player he was, where we have a greater offensive expectation for the position. But if you look at shortstops in the 80s, Alan Trammell was really, compared to the expectations we had back then, a huge player.
All right, now also on the program, Steve, we've talked a lot about the Yankees' needs as far as defense, obviously as far as pitching goes. So what are your viewers and readers talking about?
Well, you know, all off-season long, we've really been going back and forth on how the Yankees should prioritize, because although I don't think anybody objects to CC Sabathia and the kind of impact he can bring to a team that has such an unsettled rotation, they also note that the Yankees' offense slipped a great deal, that Giambi and Abreu are leaving, and that those runs have to be replaced. And more than anything else, that the Yankees were 25th in the majors last year in terms of turning balls in play into outs. They just were not a good fielding club. And so when you look at a player like Mark Teixeira, who's not only a great hitter, but is a very good glove, and you have a fan base that's been raised on Don Mattingly and Tino Martinez, they really see Teixeira as a guy who can help on both ends. A little earlier, we said Cashman is thinking pitching, 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 but a lot of what we think about his pitching is actually defense.
All right, Steven, thanks for the insight. We'll catch you on pinstripedbible.com, also YesNetwork.com, and again on another edition of Hot Stove. Good seeing you.
Thank you.